Good morning, everybody. My name is Stu Kesselhout, and I'm really excited to be here today to have a conversation with a dear friend of mine. I've been in the financial services business for over 30 years, and I've been interacting with lots of advisors, insurance agents for a long time, and I've just never seen anything quite like what Anthony Lombardi does and how he does it. And I'm really excited to have a conversation with Tony here for a while. And I think the best thing for the use of our time today would be really more for you all to ask questions of Tony. You've got an opportunity here to talk to somebody that arguably has the model figured out. And I'm excited to, again, talk to Tony and have him share his philosophy. Very different than I've ever seen before, and I'm really looking forward to what we've got here. From a technical standpoint, I want to make sure that everybody can hear me right now. So if somebody could just quickly type a question or just a statement, so we know that the technical part of this is working. I'd really appreciate it. And great, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, I have to tell you, it's been really interesting for me to watch the last couple of days as I've watched Tony. First of all, I can't believe that he's even in here right now. That one, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here in California, and he's in the office. I mean, those are two things that are extremely rare. But the last couple of days have been interesting for me as I got to witness Tony compete in a triathlon on Sunday, and I'm not sure if that was his second or third one in the last 12 months. So I got to watch him participate there and do extremely well. Actually, from the last triathlon he did, he actually improved his time. So obviously he's been investing more time in his training. And so that, I think, one shows that he's got some time that most of us wish we all had. I'm really glad that you all are here. I'm hoping that this webinar will be life-changing for you. I got in the insurance business, financial services business, because I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. That was really important to me. And I'm really hoping that by the end of this webinar that I can just have a piece here where I can help change your life. That would be just awesome for me. I'm hoping that this is going to be the last webinar that you'll ever have to attend. So after Sunday's triathlon, I got to watch Tony present at his biannual tax summit, the Advanced Tax Planning Institute. In that room were a handful, actually more than a handful, probably dozens of CPAs, dozens of advisors from all over the country. We have people in from Maine, from Massachusetts, from New York, Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, North Dakota, Arizona. I mean, it was a great event. And to watch Tony as he speaks to the CPAs and really talks to them, just really amazing. He really does have some insight that I know is life-changing. So with all of that, I'd like to, first of all, welcome my dear friend, Tony Lombardi. Tony, great to see you this morning.
How are you, Stu?
I'm doing awesome. I'm awesome. Again, I can't believe that I'm seeing you here in our office at 9 o'clock in the morning. Besides Bible study, I don't really think I've ever seen you this early in the morning before.
No, I try to keep my mornings to myself, and depends on what's going on, whether I'm training or surfing or Bible study or what have you, but 9 o'clock in the office is really rare.
Yeah,
but I'm really glad to be here. I really am.
Well, that's great, and I'm really looking forward to this opportunity here. I haven't had an opportunity to really ask you questions before about how you do what you do, what you do. But let's get right to it. I mean, these people have been contacted. They've seen an email, and they want to know, really, how is it, Tony, that you you can work here, you know, in the office maybe 15, 20 hours a week. How does that happen?
Well, that's just by design. That's the way I've built the practice, and that's really all the time that's actually necessary. And honestly, it's hard to work 20 hours a week in the office. I'm not sure. I don't even know how I get up to 20 hours a week because there's not a lot of work that gets done in the office, but my work gets done outside the office.
So, I mean, 20 hours a week. What do you do, I mean, in those 20 hours? What's a typical 20-hour work week look like for you?
Well, it's it's mainly working with my clients, and I saw the email that went out inviting people to this webinar, and it had a few different points on that. And I think, are you working only 15 to 20 hours a week? Are you working on only affluent situations? Are you working only with CPAs? And are your clients yielding between 6 and 7 figures? And to do that, that's the 20 hours a week to make that happen. Because that's what we're doing. That's all I'm doing. And because I'm only working with CPAs and only working on affluent situations, and my clients are really my friends now because of the relationships we've developed, it doesn't require a ton of time in the office. It really doesn't. So 20 hours is a lot. And I'm sure they really don't want me in the office more than 20 hours anyway, but that's a lot for me.
Great. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So what is it, I mean, really, what are you talking to these CPAs about? What is it that you're telling them?
Well, basically the truth. I mean, if you said you were at the tax summit, watching that happen, and what I'm saying that I don't think anybody else is saying is really the truth about their practice and where their problems are. Most of the advisors in the country are financial advisors, okay? Financial planners,
right?
CFPs, insurance agents, independent insurance agents, RIAs, what have you. I consider myself a professional advisor, okay, because I'm only really consulting with professionals, tax professionals mainly, CPAs.
Okay.
Do have some attorneys I work with here and there and some bankers, but it's really mainly CPAs. And what's happening is I think the rest of the country, the large, by and large, they're trying to work with the CPA's clients, actually, not really trying to work with the CPA themselves. They're really trying to they're really trying to get to the end user, as I call it. And the CPA seems to be a necessary evil that they have to get through, the gatekeeper, what have you. And mine's completely shifted. I mean, the end user is theirs. Their client is theirs. It's their brain damage. They want to work with the end user. My goal is to make that CPA my great client, my good friend, and helping that CPA or that CPA firm be better with their better clients, be better with their best, And so I'm telling them the truth. And the truth is that they've got a horrible and inefficient practice that's riddled with risk. They've got a ton of problems, and the rest of the country is looking to give them a better ESOP or a new way to do a captive or some new insurance product or, a charitable this or a grantor lead trust or how to do, any of these new great solutions.
Right.
And what the CPA needs, they don't need solutions. They need somebody to be the solution. They need someone to be the answer.
Well, I found it really interesting as I was observing from my perspective at the tax summit. And I'm watching you speak to these CPAs, and as you're talking about the things that you were discussing, it was like, I was watching a bunch of bobbleheads. They kept shaking their head in agreement. They completely agreed with what you were doing and what you were saying. It was really incredible. But, I mean, how do you get all of this done part-time? I mean, 20 hours a week. I just can't wrap my head around that.
Well, it's really not part-time. What it is it's the amount of people I'm actually working with.
Okay.
So for my client base, I have a handful of very good, strong clients. Okay, what I mean by that is the CPA is my client, right? The right CPA or the right CPA firm. Right. Just a handful, okay? And because I'm only handling a number of people that I need to manage,
Right.
it's very simple. It's really simple to do that. And I did the math a long time ago, and my revenue per client ratio was poor. My hours that I'm investing with my client was poor, and the money I was making per hour when you brought it all out together was really poor.
So help me understand for a second. Sorry for interrupting, but
no, go ahead.
You're talking about average revenue per client. I mean, I've never really thought about that in my practice. When you look at the figures, I mean, because I've been working with you, I've looked at some of the figures, the industry averages, and in the financial services business, when you look at that, if somebody's earning about $8,000 average revenue per client on an annual basis, they're considered one of the top producers in their field. And so what do you mean by, increasing your average revenue per client? How do you do that? How do you get more out of them?
Well, it's interesting. I think that $8,000 is a lot.
It is. No, absolutely.
At a recent boot camp I did, we did the math and did the homework and due diligence, and in that room we had there. I think the average revenue was about $500,000 a year, between $500,000 and $600,000
for each of the advisors.
That was the median.
Okay.
In there for somewhere between I think it was like between $350,000 and $750,000. So let's say $500,000 was the median.
Okay, sure.
And the average number of clients was 200 to 300 clients was what they had. Each person had that many clients.
Sure.
So when you do the math, it's not $8,000 per client. It's less than that. Okay, so if I'm going by that, what was in that room, and I've seen industry reports, and realistically, somewhere between 1,000 to 3,000 is a lot per client.
Okay.
When you take all your clients and you do the math, that's a lot of money per client. Okay, and that's a big deal. Well, when I'm talking about 6 and 7 figures per client, people laugh at it. They're like, they smirk. They're like, really?
Yeah,
I mean, of course, really. I mean, what we do wouldn't be better if the economics didn't match up.
Okay.
Okay. When I had 800 clients and was making almost $1 million a year, that was a little over $1,000 a client. That was when you boil it down, and everybody's like, well, I've got most of my clients, 80% of them, don't make, it's 20% that I make 80% of my money on. Okay. And I always say, well, what are you doing with the other 80%? Why do you have those clients then?
Right.
Because you can't consistently count on the 20% to annualize every year to make that kind of money. So the economics have to really match up. So when I changed my practice and when I did what I did, I said, okay, so I want to work with less people and I want to make the same money or more. And the only way I could do that was with leverage. Okay. So I found an end user client. To me, the CPA becomes the end user that has leverage. So one CPA client for me represents probably 200 to 300 affluent business owners, okay, per CPA, okay, and super affluent, probably 20 to 25, maybe 30, some maybe 15, but really you can find that right CPA. When you do that, you've got all these affluent situations you're working on an annual basis if the CPA truly begins to trust you. So if you've got a CPA that annually can be worth $500,000 to you, and you have 5 of them, and you're making $2.5 million a year on 5 clients. And that's better than $1 million a year on 800 clients.
Well, absolutely. You mentioned affluent clients and affluent situations. I've been like I said, I've been in the business for over 30 years, and I've actually had some success in working with CPAs. I mean, they've referred to me some of their clients, but I've only worked on kind of their C and D type situations. I'd get a CPA saying, hey, I've got a client here that needs a buy-sell agreement, and we need to fund it, and they're very cost conscious, and they just want to buy some term insurance. So maybe I buy a $5 million or $10 million 10-year term insurance product for their client, and I'd make a couple $1,000, but that was about it. I mean, you're talking about only working on affluent situations. How is it that you're getting access to that, to be in that situation, to work only in affluent situations?
Well, that gets into the heart and the meat of what I call the formula for a better way.
Okay.
Because it doesn't happen by accident. Okay, and you have to put yourself in a position to have that happen. But I'm sure that every financial advisor on this call today or on this webinar would rather work only on affluent situations. I'm sure they'd rather only be working with CPAs, and I'm sure they'd rather have less clients making the same or more money. And if I could show them a way to have only 20 hours a week or less in the office, I'm sure that's better than 50 or 60 hours a week. Because there's things that are more important in life, and I doubt anybody on this call today is going to say the most important thing in their life is their business.
Right.
Okay? I mean, you know me, you've known me for years. Business is like 13th on my list, right?
Right.
And we have a very fruitful business, and we teach others to have the same. And even though we're doing all that, it's like 13th. Okay.
Right.
So the question is, how to make all that work? There's got to be a way, because it's not like we don't want it. Okay, we all want that.
Sure.
Nobody wants to earn $1,000 per client, make $150 an hour, and work 50 hours, 60 hours a week. I'm working 1,000 hours a year. Okay, so how does that work? What's the formula? If there's really a better way, share it. That's the key.
Okay.
And so for me, it all boils down to a very, very simple formula that if people follow, they'll have it.
So can any advisor do what you're talking about, Tony?
Well, I've trained a lot of advisors in my years, okay? And I will tell you that most of them are smarter than I am, better at what they do than I am. And you know me, I'm got a pretty relaxed lifestyle and what have you, and I've seen them do some great things. So the answer is absolutely they can, and they'll do it better, because some people just see things and they're more driven maybe than I am or what have you. But once the formula is in place, it's automatic, because there's such a huge demographic and the appetite has never been stronger.
So let's get back to the affluent situations that you're working on. I mean, why are CPAs bringing those to the table with you when you're helping your friends? I understand your focus is on helping them and you're not concerned with the end user, but the CPAs are talking to you about really their very best clients. Why do they go there with you versus the buy-sell agreements that I was doing for years?
Okay, well then, before I get into the formula, then let me address that situation. Simple. When you have someone you trust most, when you have a very big problem, don't you go to the person you trust most?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the number one problem for CPAs in the country, okay, and I'm not just pulling this out of some magazine somewhere. I write for a number of CPA trade magazines. I speak at a number of CPA conferences, and I'm in front of literally almost hundreds. I used to be in front of hundreds and hundreds of CPAs on an annual basis.
Right.
And for doing this for years, I know their issue. Their issue is simple. They have the problem of keeping their best clients a client. The number one problem CPA firms have in the country today is client retention. That's the biggest risk in their practice, and they know it. So when you become really important to that CPA, the number one thing they want help from you with is to keep their best clients a client. So what you end up working on is the stuff that no one ever sees. The stuff that no one ever gets an opportunity to see. You work on their very best client situations, because the client they don't want to lose is their very best. And when they trust you enough to help them with that, that's the first place they go. They don't need they don't need your help keeping their B and C's. As a matter of fact, I help them get rid of their B and C's. I help them grow their super affluent footprint. So what they want from me is help in eliminating the risk of those clients leaving.
I think I read somewhere that the ultra affluent are really the most underserved market out there right now. Why do you think that is?
I wouldn't say the ultra affluent. I'd say the market between 50 million and 250 million net worth is the most underserved by the CPA practice. I mean, 7 out of 10. I read a report where close to 70%, 7 out of 10 of all affluent clients from CPA firms are dissatisfied with the service they're getting.
I think I read that same article.
Okay, so between 50 million and 250 million is a very underserved demographic. Above 250, they've got their family offices. Under 50, everybody gets a shot at that.
Right.
But between 50 and 250, they're very guarded.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they get poor service because the CPAs can't refer them out because they can't afford to lose a client who's paying them $100,000 to $150,000 a year in fees.
Right.
So they can't just refer them out or push them out to other people. So they do whatever they can do for them, and that's it. So the market, that demographic for that end user is huge.
Interesting.
But let's talk about the formula.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that. That was absolutely the direction I wanted to go. So you say you've got a formula that absolutely works, that gets you to really help the CPA do the best that they can. Can you walk me through that formula?
Sure. What I'd like everybody on the call to do is to write down these initials, okay? And write down L plus F, L as in Lima, F as in Frank, so L plus F plus R, R as in Roger, equals S as in Sam, equals T as in Tango.
Well, that absolutely is a unique formula. I've not seen something like that before, where you've got a few things equaling different letters here. So I'm sure each one means something special to you, Tony. So would you share that with us?
Sure. Like I said, it's not a mathematic formula. It's a formula for a better way.
Gotcha.
And it's L plus F plus R equals S equals T. So let me tell you about L. L. Let me give you what L is. L is leverage. So what I mean by that is you have to first start out with leverage. Okay? You want to work only with leveraged clients. Your end user is not leveraged. Doesn't matter what you're thinking. Your CPA is leveraged. Okay, so who becomes your client? The CPA. And not the CPA's end users. You go and find the right CPA that represents the demographic you want to work with. Okay, that demographic is going to be the affluent. So you're going to go out and meet and speak with CPAs that represent the demographic. So the first thing you need is leverage. Okay, and the way you're going to get that, I mean, because as you're probably wondering, well, sure, who wouldn't just go get a CPA that's got lots of good clients and hook up with them,
Who's holding this conversation here? That was going to be my question.
Well, I could see you writing, and I knew that was coming. So the question, it's simple. They're out there waiting. They need help. And if you're the advisor that says, no, your clients are your clients, Mr. CPA, the only interest I have today is in making you mine. Okay, because I want to talk about a way that I can help you eliminate the risk of losing your best clients. I'm not interested in bringing you solutions. I'm interested in being the solution you need. Okay, and as advisors, we can do that. We have teams of people that we know that do all kinds of amazing things, and instead of throwing those people at them, we need to say, listen, Mr. CPA, I know your business model is inherently riddled with risk. I know, Mr. CPA, that keeping your best clients is difficult. They're always in play. Anybody can have them as long as anybody can do tax returns. So really what you want to do is do more for your best clients. That way you go from perceived value to achieved value, Mr. CPA. If you just have a heart-to-heart conversation with a CPA, you'll be okay. And the problem I think people find is that for some reason they look at a CPA like, I'm a financial advisor, he's a CPA. Well, sorry, he's a human being, you're a human being. You both own businesses. Have a conversation about your business and my business, and you'll watch how attractive you become and how much of an appetite they have for talking to you about that.
Wow, I've not really heard anybody talk to a CPA about being a business owner before.
Well, look, you get leverage. You find the CPA. They're all business owners. We're business owners. We all have the same problem. We all want to take care of our best clients better. Okay? Show them you can help them do that. Go get leverage. That's what I did. Okay. And I did it when the stock markets were doing 30%, 40% annualized returns years and years and years ago, right?
Right.
And they didn't need to know who need. It wasn't an appetite for help because anybody can make money.
Right.
Now the CPAs are desperately looking. The tax code's 85,000 pages. I mean, they're asked to do more. They don't have the resources. If they can see you as that go-to person, that's it. So go out and have some conversations with CPAs. Sit down, meet with CPAs, let them know you understand. You're interested in helping them help their best. You don't want their clients. You want to help them keep their best clients. Like I said, the L is leverage.
That's awesome. So the next letter that you have here in your secret sauce here and your formula for a better way is F. What do you mean by F? What does that stand for?
F is simple. F is for frequency. Okay, because you first find leverage, you get leverage, you meet that leveraged CPA.
Right.
And then you need to be with that person often. Okay, the best thing you can do is when you find a CPA that is interested in learning more about you, you need to be interested in learning more about them, and you need to be with them often. Okay, I see my CPA clients on a weekly basis, even during tax season.
They're busy though, Tony.
They're not too busy for their best friends. They're not too busy for people that can help them help their best. They're not too busy for people that can take some of the anxiety out of their business. They don't need better solutions. They need the solution. They need someone that can say, hey, let me help you do what you're doing even better.
Wow.
And so you invest as much time as you can with them. There's no better use of your time than to be with that CPA. I promise you that. That will bear so much fruit. You find the leveraged audience, and then you invest time with that person as often as you can. The closer the two of you get, the quicker it will be to opening the door to the next step. And it's simple. Find the leveraged audience and be with them often.
And then where does that take you?
Simple. It develops R, which is the relationship. So you have leverage plus frequency plus an amazing strategic relationship. There's not a person on this call here today that doesn't believe if they had an amazing relationship with the proper CPA that it wouldn't absolutely transform their practice.
Well, I mean, establishing a CPA relationship, I mean, if you meet with them on a quarterly basis, I mean, it would take 17 years to create that type of relationship. So how do you get to them? I mean, you just mentioned you're seeing these guys on a weekly basis. I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around the fact that they're open to meeting with you that often.
That's why this is a great opportunity, because most advisors believe that, just what you said. They don't want to talk to you. But you're right. They don't want to talk to the advisor that's bringing his tools with him, leading with artillery. They're very open to talking to someone who cares about their practice, though, who doesn't care about their clients, but cares about the CPA's success all by himself. Look, if you find the right one, you invest time with the right person, you let them know that, look, I can help you within the framework of a relationship I want to develop. What's important is the two of us getting to know how each other's practices work. You find out what I have that can help you. Let me find out what you have that you need help with, and we'll see if we can connect and see if it makes sense, see if the dots will connect. And if they do, and you invest that time with that right CPA, the very first place they're going to go is help with their very best clients. I'm telling you, what you will see immediately is that as soon as you start talking to them that way, they want to give you clients. I'm telling you, I push business away from CPAs in the beginning all the time because we don't have a relationship established yet, and I don't want your clients. They want to refer me their client, and that doesn't do the CPA any good. The problem with the CPA's practice is he already looks like he can't do what he needs to be done. The end user is unsatisfied. The last thing I want to do is make the CPA look like he still can't do anything. That's why he's referring me to this guy. We're going to help your best client, but we're going to go through you, not around you, not behind you, not above you or below you, but through you, so that as your best client gets their problems solved, you look amazing, Mr. CPA. I'm the work under the hood. I'm going to push and work through you. That's why there's no fear in the CPA. All of a sudden I'm saying, no. You are going to be with your clients. I'm going to give you the horsepower. I'm going to give you the confidence. I'm going to show you what we can do so that your CPA's best clients never leave you ever. And most importantly, tell other people how incredible you are. Every CPA wants that. That's a story that every CPA would like to tell. So when I sit down with CPAs and explain to them, that's my goal, that's my method for doing what I'm going to do, I'm different than every other advisor. They absolutely want that. And there's no fear. There's no risk. I'm not touching their clients.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was watching you at the Tax Summit this week, and I was watching you interact with one of your clients who brought an opportunity or a potential opportunity to you, and you told them to slow down. And you told him to gather more information, and you were just giving him some phenomenal advice, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and you really, I could tell you were really focused on their showing up and being significant or being, you know, just looking great in front of their clients. And it was really refreshing to see that. And which kind of leads me to, if you've got the leverage, if you've got the frequency, and you've got an amazing relationship, in your formula you says it equals S. And so why don't you talk about that S, what that signifies here?
Look, when someone's underwater and they're running out of air, and you show up next to them with an umbilical cord or an octopus that can give them some air, they're going to grab it. They're going to take it. And that's how the appetite is. It's a frenzy out there for CPAs. The moment you have the boldness to actually go through this door, you will open a door, and CPAs are literally looking for someone who can help them so they don't lose their best clients. So that S becomes the byproduct of this amazing relationship you've developed because you're now in a position to be significant in their life. So you have leverage. You've seen them often. You've developed an amazing relationship. You now have significance. The moment you're significant in the life of that center of influence, of that right CPA, there's nothing that is out and off limits. Nothing. I can't tell you how many times they get a new, is the moment they engage with a new client, they call me up and say, I just engaged with this new client. I'm like, great. They won't touch anybody now that they're working with me. That's not affluent. And when they engage with an affluent client, the first thing they do is call me, and I say, okay, now let's start. This is how you need to develop this relationship with that affluent client. When you're significant in someone's life, they listen. They trust you.
Right.
And with that trust that you've earned, everything's possible. So next time the advisor goes to a due diligence conference and sees 20 new really cool things that they want to do, they come back and meet with their 4 or 5 CPAs and say, hey, these are the things I've seen that are really cool. The CPA says, awesome, I trust you. You've got somewhere to go now as an advisor with all that information. You don't have to call some unleveraged end user hoping he'll trust you enough to listen, so he'll go to his CPA so the CPA can say, I don't think so.
Sure, sure.
Significance is really the key here. So when you do that, when you've done everything, your target being significance in the relationship of that person makes all of this possible. And the crazy thing is, you think it would require years and years and years.
Sure.
They are so hungry. There's such an appetite for people that will help. There's so many advisors just basically throwing up all over them all day long about what kind of goods they got in their toolbox, that the moment they see someone that says, listen, the goods are great. You know, they're important.
Right.
But they're not going to help you at all if I don't help you take care of your better clients best. It's important. None of that matters unless the CPA actually can speak with his client. The CPA doesn't even have to communicate with his best clients. They're not getting the work done. You can help them with all of that. And then whatever goods you have in your toolbox, it's a pathway with zero resistance. It's the craziest thing.
So are you telling me then that because you've got this significant relationship and you're so important to them that they're coming to you immediately once they get a new client? I mean, does that really happen? I mean, or you know.
No, I lied. Of course, it happens. Absolutely, it happens.
I'm guessing then the T in your formula has got to be trust then, because clearly they trust you, right?
Actually not. Look, the significance that you made a comment about them coming to you with your best as soon as they get a new client.
Right.
They grow. This is the beauty about this. Most of us as advisors know the minute we close a big case, we get all euphoric, and then after that we're like, where's the next one?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a conveyor belt that just revolves over and over and over again. As the CPA's practice becomes bigger because of you, his affluent footprint grows, and guess what? Your affluent opportunity grows. So you're never without affluent situations to work on. It's really, really amazing. So when you come back to what the T is what's most important of all. The T equals time. Because what we all want is more time to do the things that are more important. I don't want more time in the office. I don't want more time working on crazy situations. I want more time in my faith. I want more time with my daughter. I want more time with the things that matter most to me and the people that matter most to me. And my business isn't. Now, these clients that became really good friends of mine, they're important, and I want more time with them, which means I can't have more time working on things that are less important. So if you do all of this, that T, the time you get, is what's really the value in all of this.
So you're talking about having more time to do the things that are most important. And I've been in the office almost every day for the last month and a half, and I think I've seen you maybe 4 or 5 times. What's the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks look like for you? How often do you think you're going to be in the office?
Well, I've got a couple days before I go out of town, and I'm going to contact my CPAs. But the week after, I'm out of town with my daughter. Then I'm back for a week to do a few things. Then we're in Maui for 2 weeks. And my clients already are working on stuff. We're already working on opportunities. Everything's going to keep in motion while I'm gone. Look, the neat thing about that is that that's the life that makes sense. Okay, my business makes sense to my life. If it didn't make sense to my life, then my business would have to change because I want my life to make sense. Okay, at the end of the day, all of this great little formula that I just put out is only important if you want more time for what's most important. If you're a guy out there who's happy about working 70 hours a week and doesn't want to work with CPAs and continues to work with the end user, then go right ahead. But honestly, you have to ask yourself a question. If what I'm saying is true, which it is, because you've seen me do it.
Sure.
I've done it. I was speaking to CPAs about it the last 3 days, telling them how they should have this.
Right.
Then isn't that a better way? Isn't it better to work less, to earn the same or more, and to be significant in the lives of the people that trust you most? How can you be significant in 800 clients' lives, or 200 clients' lives, or 300 clients' lives?
That's absolutely a question that, I was thinking about before we got on the call here today. And I wanted to make sure that we have enough time here in respect of everybody's time to have others ask some questions. But if there was anything else in regards to this formula, what else do you want to share with the group?
Well, the main thing is, look, if you're happy with what you're doing, then go and keep it. But if you're not, and you're honest with yourself, and you're done looking, look, most of the people are on this webinar because they're looking for something better. Look, the webinar was about 6 figures and it's 20 hours. It's a pipe dream to most people. Well, I'm in the dream business, okay, because it is real. It is the way it should be. Because we were put on this earth and created for a purpose, and I doubt it was for any of us to have a really fat bank account and work 80 hours a week.
Right.
But guess what? Your CPAs out there are doing just that. Okay, and their bank accounts aren't really fat. And most advisors are working a lot of hours a week, and some of them have what they consider to be a successful practice. See, I think the problem is that we've mixed up the word success and the word significant. Okay, we should aim for a significant life. That means being honest with yourself and saying, my business is not serving my life. Because if you're honest, by default, your life's probably serving your business. This formula right here, all by itself, can put every single advisor in a position to have the type of business I have. It's just deciding that, no, I want to work with leveraged people. I want to be with them often. I want to create amazing relationships, and then I want the fruit to come. The most important thing is to choose the right CPA. Most advisors think, oh, he's a CPA. He can breathe. He can fog a mirror. He's got clients that are alive and have a heartbeat.
Right.
You know me. I see opportunities with CPAs, all kinds of CPAs all year long. Interviewing the right CPA, find the CPA that truly wants what you can offer.
Right.
Which is a better way, which is relationships with his best client, which is them becoming important in their best clients' lives. Find those CPAs and then do what we tell you to do in this formula, and it's over.
But do I have to be in an area where there's a lot of high-powered CPAs or have a huge demographic of affluent clients?
No, you don't. Every CPA, every county in the country has CPAs that are taking care of the wealth of that county. All right? And they all have the same problem. Okay? The most important thing you can do is have a conversation with a leveraged audience. Just sit down with a CPA and ask them, how's your practice? Is it growing the way you wanted it to grow? Is it doing the things you expected it to do? Are you where you wanted to be when you got your CPA ticket? Are you happy working 80 hours a week? Are you happy with the revenues per client? Are you happy? They've got the same problem the advisors have. The revenues per client are weak. And they know this. All you have to do is ask the questions you'll find in CPA, and you don't need a lot of them. Think about it. Look, the average great relationship with the right CPA is going to yield you 300, 6 figures. Okay? Anywhere between $200 to $1 million a year. $200,000 to $1 million a year. How many of those clients do you really need? If you're making $1 million a year right now with 300 clients, you could probably make $1 million a year with 5.
So if I'm an advisor here on this call, how do I go out and find the right CPAs? What's the key to doing that?
Well, the key to doing that is to be attractive. Okay? The moment you're attractive to the demographic you want to work with, it's easy. Finding them, they'll find you. They'll be the ones that when you sit down with them, they'll say, that's exactly what I've been looking for. Okay, that's what happens. So how do you become attractive? You leave your financial advisor hat home. You put on your professional advisor hat, and you become the human being you are, and you go sit with a CPA as a human being, and you have a conversation like two adult business owners. And you explain to them that I am not interested in working with end users. As a matter of fact, I only work with professionals. I'm interested in helping you have a practice that is very amazing, that your clients would see you as valuable and amazing, so they could tell their best friends about how amazing you are, so that you can have organic growth. My interest is only in you being better at what you're probably already good at. Your clients is your brain damage. It's what you want. You start saying that enough. You start believing that. It's this mental diet. You've got to change the way you think. The moment you start thinking differently, you are different. The average advisor in the country is not thinking like this. So when the CPA sits down with you, he expects you to pull out your bag of tricks and show him the latest, goodest, best thing to do. And you don't bring anything with you except yourself. You say, look, let me talk to you about it. I've got a bag of tricks. I've got artillery. It's all behind me. But it doesn't do any good unless you and I can develop a really strong relationship, because you need to help your clients, not me.
Wow, that's awesome, Tony. I mean, so how do I learn to think differently? Where can I get exposure to something like that? I mean, what you're talking about is just, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me, and I've watched you work, and it's just, when I see the CPAs have the aha moment, when I see the advisors that you've been working with recognize that they can go and do this as well. I mean, how does somebody like, the people here on the call, how do they find out more about this? So
it's simple. It's simple. Look, just ask yourself a question. How many more of these webinars do you want to listen to? How many more emails do you want to open? How much longer are you going to keep looking for the answer? Because if you're ready, if you're done doing what you're doing, if it just doesn't make sense to your life, if you're not willing to pay for what you're doing with your life, because at the end of the day, when years and years from now, when you're ready to meet your maker, is the life you lived worth what you paid for it? I mean, ask yourself the tough questions, because I am willing to help you make the decision of a lifetime to come out and invest a couple of days, 2.5 days with me, and let me get into showing you how all of this works, how it's all very possible, and how you could have this life in the next year. It could be yours. There are CPAs out in your community right now waiting for you. So the question is, A, are you really good where you're at? B, are you done being dissatisfied? C, are you ready? Are you ready for the better way? Are you ready for something different? Are you ready to be the advisor, the professional, the business owner you were created to be?
Wow, that's great. So I know we have the next boot camp is September 28th through the 30th here in Carlsbad, California. For those advisors that are interested in finding out more about what this boot camp looks like, I'm going to give you some information to jot down. Please reach out to Jeff Perry, Perry. He's the Director of Enrollment. His phone number is 760-330-3115. Again, that's 760-330-3115. Or you can email Jeff at jperry@lombardibootcamp.com. Again, jperry@lombardibootcamp.com. Again, Tony, I can't, and Lombardi is on the screen, Lombardi. But Tony, I can't thank you enough. I mean, this for me was a lot of fun, and it's fun to see you in the office at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So I really appreciate everybody that was on this call today. And if there's any other questions before we sign off, Tony, is there anything you'd like to share before we sign off?
Basically, the last thing I'd like to say is that it's really up to the person listening. It's your life. I would welcome the opportunity to help you have a better life. And I think until you get where you want to go, don't stop looking, don't stop searching. I think this could be the last thing you have to do. I'd love to have an opportunity to help you.
Well, I know you like to keep your audience small when you have your boot camps. You keep it down to no more than 50 people. I know you love the intimacy because I know the thing that's so important to you is that intimacy and developing relationships. And I know because I've heard here in the office that the seats are filling up, and the advisors have to actually qualify. So I would encourage everybody that's been on this call that's interested, reach out again to Jeff Perry, 760-330-3155 or 3115, or email Jeff at jperry@lombardibootcamp.com. I really want to thank everybody for your time today, and I hope that this was the first step for the rest of your life.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Have a
Take
great
care,
day,
Tony.
everybody. Thank you. God bless.